everybody, you're listening to episode 236 of Tech Fetish. I am your host, Elena Yee, and here with me today are Mark Ryan Salee.
Hey, what's up? I'm in Justin's seat now.
I know. Justin is busy with other projects today, unfortunately. And we have Alex Roth.
I'm still here.
Yes, the three of us are still here, holding down the tech fort.
Would it have been weird if I was sitting in my normal spot and this half of the table was just empty?
Big empty space. It might not have looked great on camera.
I don't think it would look good for people watching, but I don't know if we would notice it as much.
Right. The audio especially.
I will say it's weird for me because I'm sitting very centered right now on the table in the host seat, and I normally don't because you and I are sharing this end cap.
Right.
I don't know. I feel kind of alone.
I'm sorry. Blame Justin.
I know.
I'm sure he's doing something important, but he's not here.
I know. Him with his fancy new haircut.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I saw his haircut yesterday. He walked over to my desk, and at first I honestly didn't even recognize him. I was like, who is this handsome man? I was like, oh, it's just Justin.
Ouch. So right before we started, you were talking to us, and you mentioned something about the Snapchats.
Oh, yeah. So I asked you two if either of you use Snapchat, and you both responded that no, it's for teenagers.
For the kids.
It's for the kids, is what
which has
I
been
said.
my understanding of Snapchat. I've never tried Snapchat before, or actually it seems like I might have tried it before because I wasn't able to use the username I wanted. But anyway, I decided to install Snapchat. And kind of figure out what this whole thing is about. It's kind of popular with the kids, at least popular with somebody. And so I was curious. I mean, I kind of knew that Snapchat is where you can post ephemeral messages, right? You send someone a picture.
That disappear, right?
Yeah.
You got like 10 seconds to look at them and then boom.
That's
but
what
I
they're
didn't fully understand
supposed to do. But the reason I've never tried it is because I think there was at least one news story saying that it turns out they're not actually deleted from the servers the way that they say they are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know too much about that. I mean, I wouldn't post any D-pics or anything. Like, I wouldn't post anything that I actually really needed to be deleted from a server.
Can you still screen cap while you're in the app? Is that blocked?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
They even say people can screenshot your snap, if that's what they call it.
I do kind of like the idea of, message history that just kind of clears itself. You still shouldn't totally trust it. But I remember when they first integrated, like, the Facebook chat into the Facebook messages, and then you would go to, write someone something and be like, oh, there's that weird, awkward message I sent them, 3 years ago or something, you know?
Right.
Like, just like a weird intermingling of my personal history I didn't need to see.
You don't need that.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, I've basically installed Snapchat to get a feel for what the app does.
For what the kids are doing these
using
days.
And it is a strange app.
Yeah?
There is...
Strange how?
As someone who dabbles in interface design and app design, it has weird decisions, not only about the interface itself, but also what the app does. I guess the primary use is the snapping back and forth between friends, maybe, but it also does public snaps. So it's kind of like Twitter, where I think
so you can kind of
people.
just Instagram, where you can kind of just put something up really briefly and then people look at it and it disappears.
Yeah, but it seems like that doesn't have the same decay as a person-to-person snap. That has a 24-hour window maybe. And so you can sit there and watch it over and over again. But then it's also showing me that's called stories. And then it's also showing me stories from Phoenix or a baseball game. I'm like, why are these showing up? This is really strange. And if you swipe further right, because the screen's all the individual screens, you swipe left and right to go between the different contexts. Further right to that is now content where there's a bunch of brands like CNN and Comedy Central. And it shows you those, and you click into it, and then there's basically articles and videos kind of presented in a slightly different, it's a slight twist on the
I saw a
usual
Nintendo
layouts.
tweet the other day that Nintendo is on Snapchat now, and I'm always like, what do these companies do on Snapchat?
Yeah, what do you do on Snapchat? What's going on? Can you make money on Snapchat?
No, I think maybe it's just another platform for them to reach people because, say that you are in that demographic or you just happen to be, somebody who's really a fan of that and you don't use Twitter or Facebook, but you use Snapchat. So that's one way for them to get, whatever
I'm gonna
messaging they want to get out to you.
I'm snapping right now, I think.
Are you snapping my coffee?
No, do either of you want to be in my snap?
He's doing.
You got 5
he's taking
seconds
a
to
selfie.
decide.
Nope, I don't want to be.
Oh, you're in it.
Oh my god, too late. Yeah, I was gonna say it's so weird that every company feels the need to be on every social platform. You know, as if we're somehow gonna leave money on the table if Nabisco crackers aren't on Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember as a kid looking at the back of a box of cereal, being like, why is there a 1-800 number for Honey Nut Cheerios? Like, what is there to be gained from that? And it's the same with Honey Nut Cheerios having a Twitter.
Well, I would say the number is really important. Or maybe this is just my parents.
Yeah.
But my parents are the kind of people who would call if there was something wrong with the food.
Oh, me too.
They wouldn't just, say to themselves, "Oh well, that was unfortunate," or go back to the grocery store. They would call the company directly and say, "This sucks."
Yeah, I had a stick of deodorant. I won't say the name of the company to be polite, but it was the little twist thing that makes it go up. It just broke right off on a brand new stick, and I called that number, and they sent me a coupon for a free new stick of deodorant.
Nice.
How
long did that call take?
It took the call.
Yeah.
The call was pretty quick because I purposely did it. During non-peak hours. I know everybody's getting off at work and calling up deodorant companies right at 5 o'clock, but I did it 11 a.m. Get it done early.
Also, I don't think many people think to call companies directly.
No, I mean most people don't even use their warranties. I'll be checking out the reviews of something, and it'll be broke after a month, and I'm like, man, you have a 1-year warranty. You could have just gotten a new one.
I will say though, I think there is a big difference in calling companies when it's for consumables like food versus or even daily life products like your deodorant versus calling a tech company.
Right.
Because when you call tech company support, I mean, you're going through endless trees, you're going through level 1 support to level 2 support, and then trying to get someone at level 4 or 5 because then they actually know how to talk to you and actually troubleshoot. Whereas something's wrong with your shampoo and you call them.
Oh yeah, I got right to a human being.
You got right to a human being within 5 minutes tops, you're done, right? And that only takes that long because they have to document the problem. They'll ask you, what's the batch number or what's,
Yeah. Did they troubleshoot your deodorant?
I was going to say it was the only support call I've ever made where they didn't ask me if I had rebooted the thing already as soon as I called.
Oh, tech support.
I know.
Phones, Snapchat. Anyway, I just published that snap publicly. At least I think I did. I honestly have no idea what's going on this.
But here's a tip for all those 1-800 numbers. If you're stuck in an endless menu, just hit 0. 90% of the time, 0 is the operator and just connects you to a human, or at least puts you in line to be connected with a human.
Right.
So
and if you
usually works for me.
If you need to call Comcast, the trick is you just whenever ask you have to speak into it to say what you want. Say, I want to cancel, and they will just link you up right with a human being.
Really?
Get you to a guy,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I used to just say agent, and that worked pretty well, too.
Sometimes.
Do you remember when you would call and they would say, if you don't have a touch-tone phone, do something like this. If you have a rotary phone.
You had to hit 0, and then you waited for it to go.
If you don't know what a rotary phone is, Google rotary phone. Phones used to look very funny, and some people still had them. But yeah, that option doesn't exist anymore. I used to just hit 0 or whatever, I don't have the right kind of phone and get right to a human being.
Yeah. These days it's a combination. You have to know the company. So it's that company works best over Twitter. That company works best on the phone. That company works best if I post a negative review on Amazon.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me, maybe it was Justin, I can't remember. Somebody else was telling me that there is some website that basically tells you the button combinations to press to get
to a human or something like that.
We've talked about it before on the show.
Yeah. Okay.
If you Google so-and-so support number, a lot of times they're one of the top answers. They're not always right though. They're like Yahoo answers,
Yeah.
Where sometimes you get terrible advice or sometimes you get advice that was only, relevant for a week.
Right.
But sometimes it works.
Do you say Yahoo?
Did I?
It sounded like it.
That's it. Maybe I do. I say it in my mind. I say Yahoo.
Okay.
Yahoo. Am I saying it wrong?
Well, that sounds like how I say it.
Yahoo.
I thought I heard Yahoo.
Yahoo.
I'm too self-conscious to say it now.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to come out.
It's just
I don't know
one of
which
those.
one's right.
Yeah, when people make you
right.
think about something like that. Yeah.
It's like there's these Splatoon is a game that's just come out for the Wii U.
Right.
But the commercials pronounce it Splatoon.
Yeah, they're really bringing out the splat part. Yeah.
I was like, I'd never heard it pronounced that. I've been hearing about this game for over a year, and that's the first time I've heard it pronounced Splatoon.
Yeah.
It's confusing me.
It's a weird name to say out loud in general.
I suppose.
I say Splatoon like platoon.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've got it right.
What's going on in tech?
I know. I'm trying to decide which way I want to go, which is why I gave you guys the face.
Okay.
There's so many things going on.
WTF?
There are
Why
things.
the face?
Why the face? I think I'll actually start with what's happening next Monday, which is the start of WWDC, or Worldwide Developers Conference. So Apple
So
is...
it's next Monday,
That is next
the week
Monday.
before E3.
Yep.
All right.
So starting on Monday, Developer Conference kicks off. Keynote is at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so, we've talked about a bit before on the show where stuff we're expecting to see. So most likely iOS, OS 10 updates, potentially. So, we did our article a little bit early about what we thought we were going to see, or hear about during the keynote. And, some of the rumors were, Apple launching their own version of, Sony's PlayStation Vue cable TV channel service. So, yeah, Apple would be trying to enter that fray of being able to offer cable packages separate from the actual cable companies. New Apple TV, potentially, whatever music service they were going to launch surrounding, Beats and all of that.
Okay.
Rolling Beats into something, or who knows what.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly primed to make some moves with Apple TV.
Right.
Whether or not it happens at WWDC or if they wait until after and do their own Apple TV specific event, I don't know.
Historically, what sort of announcements do we see out of WWDC? It's because it's developer focused, right?
Right.
Software and developer. Yeah.
Right. So it's been a mix. Okay. So a lot of times you hear about new services, primarily software like OS updates.
Yeah.
So we heard about iOS 8 last year, also Yosemite last year.
Yeah, I feel like
sometimes they've done like product refresh announcements.
They used to announce iPhone at WWDC, the new iPhones, but then they moved that back to like September, October.
Yeah, its own
time
event.
frame a couple
being
of years
its own
ago.
sort of very press oriented.
Yeah, and they used to also announce that sometimes it would be like laptop updates, but they've already kind of gone through all those this year.
Yeah, they've kind of gone through and like for the MacBook Pro line, that was not even a hardware refresh. I mean, for the actual...
For the 15-inch one?
Yeah, for the components, it was just, screen update, Force
I love
Touch
that
update.
new MacBook Pro. I went to the store and
did you?
played with
Try
one,
it?
and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I looked at it and I was like, this thing's a Pro now.
The screen, or was it the
just the
trackpad?
build and the trackpad and the screen? I mean, just the whole package. I wasn't really impressed with the new MacBook, but the Pro is like, whoa.
Which one do you have right there?
This is
Is that Retina or is that?
I think this is 2 generations behind at this point.
But is it Retina? Does it have a CD drive?
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, it has a CD
Retina.
drive. I wouldn't think it's Retina. The screen is just not that gorgeous.
That's pre-Retina.
So how do you like the Force Touch trackpad?
I like it. I mean, honestly, like I just kind of sat there and clicked it. I haven't actually, used it day to day, but I mean, I thought it was a cool gimmick, and I feel like I would completely forget about it eventually, which is fine. I don't want it to be like a distraction, But
yeah, so I've actually had the new 13-inch MacBook Pro since that one came out, which has the Force Click.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And for a while, I didn't realize that my just normal click was fake.
Oh my god!
Because like
it had you fooled.
As soon as I opened the thing up, I hit the power button, and before anything happened on the screen, I started clicking on it, and I could click it.
Yeah.
And so I figured that was just a mechanical.
You thought it was
click.
mechanical because the way this
nothing
works is
nothing had booted up. So like, how is it?
We should explain. It's an electromagnet that like yanks down on the piece of metal.
It just vibrates it. I think it just vibrates it.
It just vibrates it. It just gives you some kind of feedback.
Right. So you're not actually clicking anything. You might as well be pushing down on a piece of glass.
Like the metal is not physically moving, and when the laptop is off, you can't click. Because it's a software thing.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even realize that I was software clicking.
It's impressive when you know what it is, but the fact that you don't notice that it's really different is, very nice and impressive, and what you want in a feature like that. You don't want it to be distracting.
Yeah, I mean, then there's, the question of what's the benefit.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know that the normal click has much benefit. The big benefit is that they're adding the Force Click UI, which is you press harder and you get your second deep click.
Yeah.
I actually disabled that.
You didn't like that?
I was just doing it by accident, and at least right now, the functionality that it supports is not interesting.
Yeah, that wouldn't work for me because when I get upset,
you click harder.
Oh yeah.
I found I was doing it when I click and drag something.
The Elena meme is clicking harder. Clicking intensifies.
Yeah. maybe
somebody make that, please.
If
clicking intensifies.
Oh no!
If they know you're clicking harder, then it
me.
just like works faster. It's like, oh, I don't want to piss her off.
Hurry up, boys! She's mad.
It's a good thing that my technology doesn't know my moods.
But I'm actually really interested to see that applied to an iPhone, where again, you're not going to have a moving part to click on, but you could have a different UI where you're dragging something and then you press in to click it. I think that could be really cool for mobile phones.
Well, I mean, we'll find out hopefully we'll find out, sometime, like if they're planning to do anything new.
I wouldn't expect to find anything about force click on phones until
not until the actual phone event, but in general, I mean, if they're planning to incorporate any new kinds of interaction, like UI interaction in iOS 9, then this would be the time for us to find out, most likely.
Potentially, yeah.
I can't see that being in iPhones, though. I mean, it's a screen, so it's like, how do you make that magnetic? And I feel like maybe the reason they did it in the MacBook was to get the thing thinner, like to get
That's what it is.
Yeah, to get a moving part out of there. And it's like, it seems like a complication you don't need for an iPhone.
Oh, we'll see.
We will see.
We'll see about that.
We will see.
When it revolutionizes your UI.
When it revolutionizes iPhone technology.
I mean, the general premise, I think, would be more applicable maybe to iPad. I mean, this exact technology, as Alex has pointed out, I don't think would transfer over because of just how it's designed. But that's not to say they couldn't figure something out separately for a display.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that you need to do, obviously the phone can already vibrate, so they already have vibration motors in here. The main thing that you need to add to this is pressure sensitivity to the touchscreen.
And I wonder how fast that would break, too.
I know.
Yeah.
Just from like how much contact that phone has with all sorts of different objects in a purse or a pocket.
And then you force click there's like one area you force click and it's just cracked right there.
Yeah. Or again, you're angry and think you're clicking on all the things.
Sure.
Or you're cold and you can't even tell how hard you're pressing. Anyway, I was curious. You guys are very regular iPhone users. What would you want to see out of iOS 9?
It's a good question. I've been fairly happy with iOS 8. I think I mentioned before, I've been disappointed with OS X, Yosemite. Been having a bunch of stupid problems, so I hope they fix that. But I haven't been thinking too much about what I want different in iOS.
I want on the iPhone volume buttons and a power button that are not parallel from each other.
Oh, yes.
You don't like them being apart?
That was the thing that I did not like, because I use the volume button as the shutter. Like when you're in phone mode, like you can use this to shoot video or to take a picture, and a lot of times I just squeeze and then I end up locking the screen.
Right.
Or I forget which side is which. Like I liked it better when, like, I understand why they took it off the top, because now that the phones are taller. And I kind of don't know where they would put it, but I don't like them being parallel.
Really?
I'm with you. I very frequently, like if I have my phone in my pocket, I just want to hit the volume up and down buttons in my pocket.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know which side I'm pressing.
I frequently hit the wrong one.
So where would you guys want that? Would it like all
I never had
I don't know, man.
the other phone.
The guys who make the Apple money can figure that out.
That's
but
right.
I'm just saying they did it wrong.
When they had the button on the top of the phone,
So this is a hardware thing, though. This has nothing to do with this.
And this was something that
software.
HTC backed down on too. They used to do volume and power button parallel, I'm pretty sure, and then they switched it.
I have to tell you, I hate it being all on one side. So
I don't know if I want it all on one side.
Because that is the worst. Like, if it was better space, maybe I wouldn't be so irritated by it. But I have a Nexus 7, and the Nexus 7 has pretty much power button and then like volume rocker pretty much right next to it.
Right.
So I am constantly hitting the power button, turning off my screen when I'm trying to turn up the volume or turn it down. Drives me insane. I hate it so much.
Yeah, all on the same side is not a good call either. Put it back on the top. I mean, honestly, like, I have a 6 Plus. That's a two-handed phone. I don't mind having to, like, brace the bottom to do something, and I don't think that the iPhone 6 is so big that people can't reach the top.
I don't even use the power button except to turn it off, like, right? I turn it on with the home button.
Or when you're mistakenly hitting it because you're trying to hit something else.
Yeah.
Well, that's hardware. What about software?
Yeah, software.
I don't know if there's much to substantiate it, but I've seen some rumors that they might add multitasking to iPad or like running multiple apps at the same time.
So like Windows, like you can put two Windows side by side, kind of like how the Galaxy Note 4 Like note phones actually allowed you to do that.
That's such a jumbled mess, though.
It seems like it must be.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, just like I don't think we're ever going to see an iPad Pro.
Well, so the thing is that...
I don't know. This is a post-Steve Jobs Apple, though.
Yeah, it is.
They said that they were never going to make a bigger phone.
Yeah.
So.
iPad sales have basically stagnated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
I think they're probably either saying that... they're saying that the tablet market has either reached a saturation point, or they see themselves losing out to low-end small PCs.
Yeah, I mean, the iPads and all tablets are stagnant because, I mean, they're toys. I mean, you need a phone, you need a laptop. We've talked about this before, like, and also iPads aren't subsidized. You know, it's like you get one and you don't use it enough to like feel like you need a new one every 2 years.
Right.
You know.
That and the market has changed. So back in 2010 when they came out with the iPad, that's the era when we had a ton of crap-tastic netbooks everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was the low end of, portable PCs.
Right.
So if you, at that point, why would you spend $300 on a really, really, really crappy PC that couldn't, for me, my netbook couldn't even run YouTube videos without stuttering. It was terrible. Atom processors back then were awful.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So if you could buy
the netbook era.
So if you could buy something that just worked and was very light and portable, that's basically why tablets had so much appeal, right?
Yeah.
And now you can instead get a Chromebook or something else that does a lot of those basic functions but has a keyboard now. So
and if Apple makes the iPads like too functional, like too good at actually getting things done, then you're going to cannibalize the laptop sales.
I don't know that they're too worried about that. I mean, their laptop sales have been increasing, which is good for them. But if you look at like laptop sales versus iPad and iPhone sales, like they're minuscule. All of their PC products are minuscule compared to iPhone and iPad.
Yeah. Really, compared to iPad?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not. It's definitely not as minuscule as a phone, obviously.
I mean, definitely the phone is the killer.
Yeah, the phone is basically, I think,
but I mean,
everything else.
If you had a good keyboard accessory on your iPad, like you can get a pretty good iPad for $500-600. Like you can get a 64 gigabyte iPad Air 2 for $600, and then like the cheapest MacBook would be like an Air at like $900. I mean, I think you'd start cannibalizing your own sales.
Potentially.
That's why they're not doing it.
See, I'm thinking the opposite way. They see that the iPad number going down. They see entry-level laptops as being the main competition for them. Either they're going to... I don't know how they recover those iPad sales without going after the entry-level PC market more. And that's where like the rumor of multitasking kind of makes sense. It does seem to me like it's going to be a clumsy thing, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. For me personally, I don't see much of an appeal in dedicated Android and even iOS tablets if Windows 10 really takes off as something that can scale really well between different screen sizes. Just because so many people use Windows, and if you can use the same apps no matter what size of your screen, then that's, for me at least, more appealing than having to switch ecosystems and trying to find the same apps that will do the same things.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it kind of remains to be seen how well UIs adapt from a Windows 2 desktop to a Windows 10 tablet. If the software will run is one thing. If you can use it with your fingers is a totally different thing.
Yep, definitely true. So, nothing else for iOS 9? Like, you don't, like, cause so some of the rumors, we've heard, just to kind of refresh a little, is, they're thinking that some people are thinking that they're going to announce some kind of upgrade to Siri that, rivals Google Now.
Boy, she could use it.
Right? Yeah. So, with Siri, that kind of started the whole kind of sort of natural speech, voice command sort of thing. But I feel like when I use an iPhone and I speak to Siri, more often than not, Siri says to me, I'm sorry, I didn't get that, or I don't know what that is. Here are some search results that have nothing to do with what you actually are asking me.
Yeah, and then like, here's a bunch of data that's hard to use because if you touch it, you're going to jump into Safari and then have no way to get back to this list. Like, I'm thinking of like movie times, like I say, what are the Mad Max show times? Here's all the show times. If I touch a theater, I go to Safari. I have no way to go back and be like, oh, actually, I want to go to this theater. Google Now is so much better at displaying the information.
It is, and the natural speech recognition, I am continually impressed by it. again, just going back to, all things being equal in terms of internet connection speed and stuff like that, right? If I'm at home on the Wi-Fi, same connection, standing in the same spot, both phones in my hand, I'll say to one, what's the weather today? And I actually can see Siri kind of having to parse that and think, quotes, air quotes around that, think about it. Whereas with Google now, it's like it just processes it. And I get a result much faster.
I would just want more. I mean, this is something that Apple always is, stingy about, but more choice as far as using third-party stuff with Siri. Like, the 100% the main reason why I never ask Siri for directions is because she's going to ask her dumb friend Apple Maps. She's not going to use Google Maps.
That's actually, I was going to say, I have 2 requests that I know will not be
ever
fulfilled, and that is ditching Apple Maps and just going back to
or just
Google
letting
Maps.
you have the choice, because I don't do that, and also just like I use a third party, podcast application, so I can't tell her, start playing this, like I can't use the voice for music controls because I use Google Play Music. Like, what was your number 2 next to that you would ask for that will never happen?
Raw photo support.
Oh, raw photo support.
Or just take a picture and be able to save it raw rather than JPEG.
I mean, that seems like it makes a ton of sense and what happened before what I'm asking for, because you've seen all those gorgeous ads around town of like shot out on an iPhone 6. What do you think of those, by the way? Like, do you believe that? Because I mean,
100%.
Because they say it's been touched up for the larger size.
We've talked about that.
Because I love those ads.
It.
You can take great pictures with the iPhone.
You sure can, and I have.
But I don't believe it's good enough for that size.
I know
they have to have photoshopped it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain ways to blow up an image well. I mean, just taking a 8 megapixel image and then stretching it to fill a billboard. I mean, no matter what camera you have, that's not going to look fantastic up close. And probably, frankly, any image on a billboard, if you get close to it, doesn't look that great. So
those are the best ads, though, because it's just like a gorgeous photo, in what's sometimes like a dirty part of town, or what would be like, like a Mountain Dew ad, or just something, like vapid and bright and stupid, and instead it's just like a nice landscape photo, and it's like, by the way, iPhone,
Yep. Landscape is something that iPhone does particularly well.
Yeah.
I mean, anything with a lot of light available, low light, they're doing better than they used to do, but that's still where you're not going to get the best pictures. But raw support would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think they won't do it.
Why?
I think they won't do it because I think part of the reason that Apple or the iPhone camera or pictures look so good is the processing that they do to the JPEG.
Yeah.
If you were just to output the raw file, I think people would be like, oh, this camera's not that good.
Yeah, because they're worried of anything creating, a little mark in the armor there.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people aren't used to dealing with raw files too. Like, if you get a really nice SLR camera, you go out and you take a picture with a 5D Mark III, right? It might not look great out of camera. It's a raw file. You have to take it in the Lightroom. You have to process it.
I feel like that's something
colors.
Apple has always been afraid of, is like adding complications that might confuse some people, whereas like Android will give the option and kind of bury it, so only like power users find it.
Sure.
Apple just tends to not give you the option, which is kind of a pity.
Right. And I think that would be the sort of thing where people will be like, oh, I'm choosing raw because I know that raw is better. I've heard that raw is better.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
but they're going to get a file that doesn't look as good.
It's protecting their own image.
Yeah, I think I think for 99% of people, they should not be shooting it raw.
Yeah.
They should let the iPhone do the processing for them. But
well, you could have some kind of option where you can enable raw, but you have to answer this very camera-specific question.
Which would you buy, this Canon or this Nikon? And if you don't get it right, then sorry, no raw. Yeah.
Do you know what vignetting is?
Right.
Do you follow Mark Ryan's photo YouTube channel? Yes or no?
Probably not.
What's the name of it again, Mark?
It doesn't matter.
Mark, I won't plug my own stuff. Ryan Silly.
Right. But if you wanna see that Snapchat that I posted, I believe, again, I have no idea how Snapchat works.
with Mark, you guys.
I think my username is Micromatic. I think that's how you can follow me.
Okay.
On Snapchat, if following is a thing. I don't even know yet.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out.
I think we're probably going to have all the viewers and listeners explain it to us.
That's right. Please, on the Facebook group, start a thread explain Snapchat to old people, please.
In one sentence.
Yeah.
And you can't use references to like D-pics or anything because we know about that aspect already.
It's the I'm 28 and what is this?
Yeah.
Instead of I'm 8 and what is this?
Explain it like I'm 50 instead of explain it like I'm 5.
Yeah.
That's the new barometer.
ELI 50.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So speaking of maps, another rumor is that they're going to introduce public transit directions to Apple Maps.
That would be nice.
Does Google Maps already do that?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It doesn't give you like accurate arrival times, but it will tell you take this to the this and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And to give you an approximate time of how long it'll take.
Why is Apple trying?
Because they don't want to allow you to just put Google Maps as your default map app.
I do think it would be a mistake on their part to just let the thing completely atrophy. You know, like they should be building it up and like trying to get it to work. But
I wish they would just go back to using Google Maps as their map.
I know.
Well, Google, they don't want to give Google the data. Like the other day.
But damn it, Google should have the data.
Where did he give the
Take my data, Google.
Tim Cook just gave a talk about how like.
The privacy thing.
Yeah, about how
the whole photos thing.
Yeah, about how Silicon Valley companies, like the biggest, most successful companies, are basically gunning for your private data.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole, I think I remember reading somewhere, it's the two camps of, where, you are the product versus you are the customer.
Yeah.
Right? So Apple's trying to position itself as you are the customer.
You're a customer.
But, I mean, that's not even completely accurate because, I mean, they've done their own things where, privacy is not something they've thought a lot about in terms of at least security in some aspects. There's the whole like celebrity photo, hacks.
Yeah,
sure.
Stuff like that. Things not being secure in the cloud, not having two-factor authentication.
They told Jennifer Lawrence not to make her password, but she did it anyway. It's not Tim's fault.
So, I mean, I don't know. I do miss the days of, I remember having an iPod Touch way back when Google Maps was still a default.
Right.
And I was really disappointed when I found out that there was no workaround in iOS 8 to make Google Maps the default app. So now if I try to get directions, I have to copy and paste it in there, which is such a pain in the butt.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, the best is now, though, in the Google Maps app and stuff, you can share a link. Like you can text someone a location, and the link is coded so it opens Google Maps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden. I think it's by the little like dots, and then you do share, and then sends a link like that. I use that all the time, and you can do that. I think from the Google Maps, on your computer too, on the site.
That's cool because actually one of the last two times I used Google Maps or Apple Maps was because I wanted to send a location to someone, and I figured that would be easier in Apple Maps. It ended up showing me that the Vista point where I wanted to meet was in the middle of the ocean.
Wow, I have used the share location through iMessage, which is an Apple Maps feature, and for me it's been fine. But that's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and then the last time I used it, my sister texted me her address. I was going to drive to her house. I clicked on the address, opened it up in Apple Maps, and it pointed at a Del Taco.
Nice.
Del Taco.
It knew that your sister wanted some tacos.
Thinks you're hungry.
It's like, hey, you know what? Your sister is working hard, had a long day. You should bring her some tacos.
Those are literally my last two experiences with Apple Maps. And it pretty much sums up all of my experiences with Apple Maps. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm not always pleased when I have to open something by default because, like, I'm driving or, I don't have time to copy paste or find the right link. So, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year, I think, just because the rumors have gone back and forth about kind of jumping back to what I was saying at the start of the podcast, where talking about the potential, internet cable TV service, talking about Apple TV. And, some camps were saying, oh, we think we're going to see this. And now a lot of the reports are saying, oh, no, actually they're not going to see it because none of the details are finalized enough that they feel that they're ready to announce it.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I'm wondering if this is going to be a very software-focused keynote where we do just really dive deep into whatever they're cooking up for iOS 9. But again, even with that, iOS 8 made so many changes that I find it kind of a little hard to imagine that we'll see huge sweeping overhauls for iOS 9.
Sure.
I think it'd be more like a more incremental, clean things up, try to introduce services as opposed to, entire new feature sets.
Right. Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
What would you want? What does your iPhone not do that you wish it did?
Just raw support.
I don't know.
I know I've asked this question, but I'm just imagining anything else.
I also wish it could open up raw images. So
that would be nice. Like a viewer.
I thought that it could.
A viewer would be nice.
Because it kind of can. Yeah, if I
can.
You can transfer raw images to the phone, and you can even view the image, which makes it think like it seems like you're looking at the raw image, but actually what you're looking at, and you can even like open it in Snapseed or any photo editing, but what you're actually looking at is like a embedded JPEG preview of that image.
Oh.
I didn't realize that until I transferred some images from a new camera I picked up. It's a Ricoh GR. And the embedded JPEG previews are absurdly low resolution. And so that's how I knew. I opened it up on this. I'm like, oh, that's the stupid low-res JPEG preview. In fact, I can show it to you, but we're not going to wait for it to give you a sense of what it looks like. But that would be nice to be able to actually edit raw files.
Yeah. I don't think I have a wish list yet. I'm still very much happy with what I have on the Android side of things. But it'll be interesting to see what they come out with. For OS X, though, I think just given the reports, I mean, you were talking about this last week, Mark Ryan, about the whole Wi-Fi issues you've been having.
Yes.
And there are other listeners who chimed in saying that they had the same issue.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Yeah, a couple people wrote in and said, having the same problem. It's very annoying.
It's very annoying.
I imagine so. So hopefully they'll release a new version that addresses some of those, or at least release some kind of hot fix or patch.
You'd think they'd be on that by now.
We'll see. For Apple, I don't know if it's going to be a very huge event this year, but definitely we'll see in just a couple of days what's happening. So hopefully it gives people who are into that sort of thing something interesting. And also just from an industry trends point of view, it'll be interesting to see what they're trying to like push as what's important.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the TV stuff shows up. I think
TV's been huge lately as an industry trend, just in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see I wonder if them including TV in this press conference or deciding to set it aside and do it their own press conference for TV would have any like kind of signal how important they see it, right? They wouldn't announce a new iPhone at WWDC anymore because they thought that they were, not giving it enough room to shine. So if they just announce it casually, they're like, oh yeah, we updated the TV service, then it's like, maybe they don't see it as a big deal for them.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up getting announced last during the keynote, because that typically is like, the big finish.
Right.
So last year, I think that was iOS 8. So we'll see what gets in that position this time. I'm going to move on to some other tech news for the week, which was Microsoft announced a release date for Windows 10.
So we've been talking about this a number of the past podcasts, right? We're wondering when is Windows 10 going to come out, and there were some indications it could be summer, but that seems way too soon.
I thought it was too soon. I actually went on record saying that I thought July was too soon, but it's coming out July 29th. Wow. This is only the desktop versions, so mobile is coming later.
Okay.
And it's not entirely clear, although I suspect that maybe the stuff that's supposed to scale for the smaller 2-in-1 style devices may be a later date too. It's not entirely clear to me.
Okay.
Because it's not clear what they're going to be running. I assume it's going to be desktop version, but we'll see. But anyway, they announced Windows 10 Home and Windows 10 Pro versions, and they also gave details.
Just two versions.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
So simplified.
Back to that, yeah.
Simplified, and they also detailed how the upgrade is going to work. So if you're currently running Windows 7 or Windows 8, you're eligible, and it's a legal copy, you're eligible for a free upgrade to Windows 10, but the kind of basically the equivalent of that, right? So if you're running Windows 7, but it's the home version, then you're going to get upgraded to Windows 10 Home. But if you're running Windows 7 Ultimate or Pro Edition, then that falls under the Windows 10 Pro camp. So it's kind of like to like in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fair.
One thing to note is that you can start basically registering for your upgrade now, so that it will do essentially a preload of it, so that as soon as it officially goes live, then you can run the update.
Because that's definitely what you want to do, is run a brand new OS the day that it's available.
Yeah.
I'll help you beta test that.
I've made that mistake
all my
once or
stuff.
twice or a dozen times.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to run it right away.
I mean, I do that every time. I write about tech stuff. I always need to use the new stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm telling you guys, maybe just be patient.
It's there. It's going to be there. If you want to see what it's like day one, it's going to be available. One thing to know, though, is that in order to take advantage of it, you do need to, if you're running Windows 7, you need to make sure that you're running Service Pack, at least Service Pack 1. And that came out in like 2011. So
yeah, Service Pack 1, good Lord. I don't even have to let you on the internet without that anymore.
So it should be something that you already have, but something to check beforehand. And then for Windows 8, you actually have to have upgraded to Windows 8.1 for it to take effect. So if you're still running Windows 8, you have to upgrade to 8.1 before then you can hop over to 10.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a Windows update from one version of Windows to a brand new version of Windows?
I don't think I ever have.
No, I prefer doing a clean install.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I wonder, like, any computer over, a 2 or 3 year life is going to kind of accumulate a bunch of just junk, like plaque. Right. And it's good to just kind of back up your stuff you want to keep, wipe that computer, fresh install.
I've just never upgraded Windows OSs. Like, I get the service packs and all that, but whenever I get new Windows, it's because I bought a new computer.
Right.
So that's the only time you changed, when you actually completely changed the entire system?
When I bought, I had an XP machine, and then I bought a machine with Windows 7 on it, and I don't know, maybe when I was a kid, we went from 95 to 98, but that wasn't really me doing it,
To answer kind of your unspoken question, you can do, supposedly, according to something that, one of the Microsoft employees tweeted, that you can do a clean install with Windows 10, but only after you do the initial upgrade. So it's a little bit convoluted, right? So it's not like you can go instantly to a clean install Windows 10, but it's more like you have to basically, it's still a little vague, but from my understanding is that you would download the Windows 10 upgrade while still running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1, install that, and then once that's basically been verified that you qualified or whatever, then you can go ahead and wipe your machine and do your clean install.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
But again, it's not clear how that works or how much extends, because it's specifically the language used said something about you can do a clean install indefinitely or as many times as you like on that device. But if it's a PC that you built yourself or even that you plan to upgrade, how many components are you going to be able to swap out? Because a lot of times it's tied to the motherboard.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, if I remember right, Windows 8, their verification is kind of just to basically figure out what you're running, and that they use that as kind of okay, that's your system, to tie the license to that.
Okay.
So that's why if your motherboard fries, you usually have to call the automated line to reactivate the license.
So is that what you're planning to do then? Is you're going to let it install the update and then you're going to wipe it and then reinstall Windows 10?
Oh, I will probably instead back up my system before any of this.
Yeah.
Wipe it completely, install Windows 7, and then go to Windows. Just do do it all at once, as opposed to doing the install backup. Then, because that way I don't have to deal with trying to figure out where everything's placed on a new operating system.
Sure.
Because when I back up my system, I don't do it automated. I like to dig into certain folders and pull out certain things.
Yeah.
So for me, every time there's a new operating system or a new version of Windows, I should say, I have to figure out where they've put it. Because they move that around.
Actually, when I moved recently, just a couple of months ago, from my MacBook Air to my MacBook Pro, it was the easiest transition I've ever made, thanks to Google Drive.
Oh yeah, you store most of your stuff on that now?
Yeah, I basically, on a computer very often, on whether it's Windows or Mac, you've basically got a folder that's dedicated to your user, and then that folder has a documents, and there's a music folder or whatever. Right. Instead of doing that, I just had all those similar structures on a folder that was actually backed up to Google Drive as well. And so then when I got my new computer, I just linked it up with a Google Drive app, plugged in the account, and then all that, the exact same data structures, all the files just showed up on the computer.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because usually that's a pain in the butt, and I'm stressing out. Where did I put that file? It's it's still on the backup drive. I got to dig that out.
I do wish that there was more of that available, just in general for all the different operating systems. I think I might have mentioned it before on the podcast, but I will say that the backup feature for iPhones is really nice compared to the experience I have with Android phones, where if I want to switch to a new phone or just wipe my phone just because I feel like the operating system, something's going wrong with it, or I want to flash something different, it just takes so much longer. Whereas iPhone is like, you plug it in, you say back this up, you unplug it, and then you plug it in and you just restore it. And it is not perfect when you restore it. I've noticed that, like, some of the apps don't work quite right because like, and all the passwords and permissions are where they're supposed to, like, not behaving the way they're supposed to. But it's still a lot more time saved than manually pulling this on and off and re-downloading these certain apps, that kind of stuff on my Android phone.
Yeah. I think the secret is that Apple just takes up all of your hard drive space for no reason. And then one of the things that it's using to take up your hard drive space is actually useful.
I could see that.
I got really mad recently when I found out that about 80 gigs of my 120 gig hard drive were spent on just useless backups.
Oh, it never clears the old ones?
Nope. Or it was backing. I don't know. I don't even know what it was backing up, to be honest. I think it was multiple backups on my phone. All those raw
files.
Plus, it copied copies of apps that I hadn't had installed in years.
It's all those raw files.
Yeah. Those I manage. Those I know where those are. Those are my fault too. But yes.
So,
do you guys you use a Mac at home?
Oh yeah.
You use a Mac at home.
I have a Mac and a PC.
Do you guys dual boot at all?
No.
No?
No.
All right, so I guess I'm the lone person here who's Windows 10. I think I might upgrade one of my systems. I don't think I'll upgrade all of them.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. Because I am a little worried about what you were talking about, Alex, where, you install it right away and there's a problem or some kind of bug that's just really annoying.
Yeah, and your computer's ass just falls right off or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to hear people say about, the performance changes. Like, I'm more worried about a performance drop, like, because it's just my gaming rig, like, I don't do any work on it, So,
oh, I see.
So if it went weird for a week, it wouldn't really bother me.
You just need to get from the desktop into Steam.
Yes.
You don't need Windows for anything else.
I can do that with one button. Steam opens automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking at the system. I mean, they're minimum requirements, but I was looking at the system requirements for Windows 10, and they're not very demanding at all.
Oh, they're definitely trying to be lightweight.
They are.
I mean, what are they? Are they like 4 gigs of RAM suggestion? Or?
Let's see. I think it was like a 1 gig processor. Remember looking at it because I was a little surprised. It was a 1 gig processor, or SoC equivalent, or system on chip equivalent. I think it was 16 gigabytes of storage space for a 32-bit version, 32 gigabytes of space, like storage, for the 64-bit version.
Oh yeah, is the Pro the only 64-bit version, or can you get home 64-bit? Because I always hate having to pony up extra for that.
I didn't look at that, honestly.
Yeah. Because that's the only feature from Pro that I need.
That's the one thing I didn't look at. I can't imagine these days, though, that many programs many operating systems would bother with 32-bit.
Same.
Because, you can basically replicate that, in, I guess, what, virtual window or something like that.
Yeah, I hope all Windows 10 is 64-bit ready.
Because it doesn't make sense because otherwise you run into the limitation of how much RAM you can put into a system.
Yeah.
So
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Just be mean to do it otherwise.
Yeah, I think I'm so right now this week I'm like, woo, somehow the words coming out of my mouth are actually what I mean to say. I'm sure you guys will correct me. Yeah, but I just remember looking at it. I don't remember off the top of my head what the RAM requirement was, but I just remember thinking, oh, that's pretty lightweight. But again, minimum requirement, right? So that's different than your typical recommended requirements, which unfortunately I haven't had a chance to look up yet. But hopefully, because since it's supposed to scale across devices, I don't think they're planning to make it very intensive. So if you want to upgrade on an aging system, hopefully it's not going to put too much stress on it.
I just want to hear people say what like the real world performance experience is like.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
It's only about what?
Couple months.
2 months away.
Yeah. Not even.
Yeah, a little less. A little less than 2 months away.
It's close.
I know. But they also announced pricing. So if you decide not to upgrade within the year window of free upgrades, or you don't qualify for it, then the pricing is pretty similar to Windows 8. It's $120 for Windows 10 Home, and then it's $100 or $200 for the Pro version. If you decide to buy the Home version first and then want to upgrade later to the Pro version, it's $100 for the upgrade. So you do get a little bit of a, I guess, discount.
So then you overpay by $25 or $20.
$20 if you try to go cheap at first and then decide you want the extra features like the ability to remotely log into other computers and that kind of thing. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like it would be cheaper to buy a copy of Windows 7 or 8 now and then upgrade it to Windows 10 than to wait to buy Windows 10 off the shelf.
So my free upgrade, free for a year or free forever?
So to upgrade from Windows 7 or Windows 8.1, it's free for the first year. So from July 29th, 2015 till, I guess, July 28th, 2016, you have that window to choose to upgrade from your current operating system to Windows 10. After that point, you would have to pay to upgrade to Windows 10. However, if you upgrade, then it's supposed to be free upgrades to that particular, OS for the life of that OS. And Microsoft has apparently gone on record, we've talked about this, that this is the last Windows, right?
They're just going to keep updating this one.
Yeah, supposedly. But I mean, that can change.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So that could change, but once you're in the club, I guess you don't have to worry so much about ever getting booted out of it.
Cool.
But
I mean, it's just semantics.
It is semantics, though. You're totally right about that, because some people have rightly pointed out that there's a lot of language about life of device. So how long does that mean that they're only going to support certain devices for a certain length of time and then say, sorry, it's like the equivalent of buying a game that has multiplayer servers that eventually get shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you have the game, but now you can't do anything with that particular feature. So it could be that, after a certain point, if you have a Bay Trail tablet, they're going to say, nope, sorry, like our latest update no longer supports, hardware running these specs. So maybe you don't have to pay for the software, but you might have to go out and buy new hardware if you want access to new features. So.
Sure, but that's, I guess, the nature of technology.
It is. But I don't know about you guys, but nothing irritates me more than feeling like I'm being forced to upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when Apple added the parallax scrolling backgrounds, and you're like, I really want that, but I only have an iPhone 4.
Or more like when I downloaded like iOS 7 or something maybe on like my iPhone 3G, and it was just like a rock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just ran like molasses in December.
Yeah.
How does molasses run in December?
Very slowly.
What if you live in like Australia?
Sorry, my US-centric analogies. Sorry, Australian
well, not
listeners.
even just that, but they're like East Coast-centric, where you guys get weather.
Yeah.
Not like California, where it's 53 degrees in May and like 70 degrees in December.
Yeah, you need to use like a traffic analogy in California. It's like, my phone ran like 5 o'clock traffic.
LA traffic at 5 p.m.
Yeah. More like 3:45, am I right? Hey.
Yeah. Sorry to everybody who doesn't live in the United States. We are a bit US and some oftentimes California centric. Thanks for putting up with us. I guess, we can move on. Just we'll be interested to see what's going on with Windows 10. I've said this so many times. Everyone knows now. Steam Machine.
Pre-orders today,
Yeah.
huh?
Pre-orders
Wait, those things aren't out yet?
No. So the release dates officially got announced, as opposed to just, general like November.
Right.
And so it's November 10th. For this, I believe it's Steam Link, the controller, and also, different Steam Machine models.
So there are like multiple manufacturers that are launching on that date?
Yeah. So basically it's, Steam has set up this banner, and then there's a bunch of manufacturers who are just creating machines that, you know, fit under that banner, right? And there's different models that fit different, you know, use cases. So on the more budget, you know, wallet-friendly end of the scale, you have something like the Alienware Alpha, which, you know, I've seen it. It's been going on sale, so I've seen it, I think, through Slick Deals as low as maybe like $350. You know, and originally came out at $550 for the i3 version, if I remember right. And then you can scale all the way up to Falcon Northwest, like one of their Tiki micro towers, like super compact micro towers.
What are these words?
It's just the name of the system. Like they have these. So Falcon Northwest is the name of the boutique PC maker.
Okay.
And then
so they're like a smaller version of Dell.
Well, I wouldn't say they're Dell because it's just a different market, right? Yeah. But a lot of these boutique makers, there's different price points that they fall into, and so Falcon Northwest tends to make it more expensive, but very custom, like especially like micro builds, like really small form factor builds.
Dell is like Ford or something, and you know these guys are like a company you've never even heard
like
of that makes like kit cars. There you go. Whatever that is. Yeah.
So now we're like, I don't know. That sounds right.
Sure.
But they have this system called Tiki, and it's really slim little rectangular box. And they like stuff like a Titan Z in there during our GDC demo.
Sounds big.
Yeah. So Titan Z is a basically, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but
I have heard of it. I don't know what it is.
It's the $1,000 one, right?
Graphics card?
If I remember, it was $1,500 when it came out. It was basically 2 Titan Blacks, if I remember right, on the GPUs on one card. So it was a really expensive card. No, man, not even $1,500. It might have been like a $3,000. I don't remember prices anymore.
Yeah, it was more than most computers.
It was super expensive for that card. It was basically the kind of card you would use if you only had one slot and you wanted to cram it into a small machine. And you didn't have a budget.
Yeah, I was saying also you're Mark Zuckerberg, and like money just doesn't.
Yeah, it just it's just like water to you. It doesn't matter if you drop some. And so there's like that high end, like super high end for the Steam machines. So there's this big range.
That one sounds cool.
So they basically have put some of these up for pre-order already, and the incentive to pre-order is that you'll get the hardware early.
A week early?
You'll get the hardware when it doesn't work well.
So it's a few weeks early.
A few weeks, okay.
If I remember right, it's November 10th for the release date for everyone in general, but for the people who pre-order, they can get their hardware as early as, I think it's October 16th.
Oh, okay.
So almost a month in advance.
Tell me again, how are they sidestepping the whole Windows thing? Or do these things have Windows now? Or like can I play Far Cry 4 on this thing?
So Steam machines are designed, they're PCs.
Yeah.
So you can install whatever you want to them, right? You can install Windows to them. Yeah. You can install Linux to them. But the reason it's a Steam machine is if you install Steam OS to it, which I believe is based on Linux.
And there's only so many games that you can play.
And there's only so many games that are supported because it's based on Linux, it's whatever games are available in the Linux library, right?
So probably not Far Cry 4.
So it's not as much as what you would get with a standard Windows machine.
Yeah. I think you can log into Steam and like filter it by compatibility, so you could see which games would be compatible with a Steam machine if you filter by Linux.
That's just like my biggest problem is it's not a full PC gaming experience unless I can play like the newest game on Steam, you know?
Right. Well, the advantage of it is that it's cost, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to shell out for a Windows license. You know, you can just basically install this and you can get up and running and get going with your gaming. Kind of gives you the option to have a sort of console-like experience with the big picture in your living room if you prefer such things.
It's just why I think these things are just doomed to underperform. It's like they don't have the main AAA titles.
Partially that. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how Steam machines do once they're on the market officially. And everything's up and running.
Yeah.
Because if they can port more titles over, that solves that problem. But I don't know if they're ever going to really solve the problem of hardware costs, because it's like, who's the market for this? Are you really trying to steal away console gamers, or are you just actually trying to give PC gamers more options for where they can play within their own house. And I feel like right now it seems like it's very much that latter camp, and not so much the console. Trying to snare some of the console gamers or people who would be console gamers.
Yeah, because I would love to be able to game without Windows, but you just can't, and this isn't doing it.
So, I mean, so it doesn't sound like you would be in the market for any of the Steam machines at all.
I mean, maybe if I didn't have a computer already, but even if I were looking at it, like once I looked at that, list of games I could play, I mean, it may not have everything, It
has Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Of course it does every Valve game, but if it doesn't have Fallout 4...
Football Manager 2015?
No thanks. It does, because that's an EA game.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I've never played the series, but just the fact that they have an EA game is a good sign.
Oddworld New and Tasty?
What about Battlefield?
Oh, jeez. I wasn't ready to
because we're getting like
answer
third
questions.
Football Manager. We're getting like, well, I shouldn't say third. I'm sure that's a very popular game. Maybe second string kind of EA games.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. For me, I have a hard time with the appeal of it. I think the Alienware Alpha makes a great living room PC in general, but it's pretty much very proprietary.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, at least. I mean, I should say that. I shouldn't use say proprietary. I should say that it's not really that upgradable, which is a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so
you're just kind of locked with what you get.
You're kind of locked with what you get, which is same as console. But the thing is that
it's probably costing a lot more than a console, right? Or no?
It's about the same price if you get the Core i3 version.
Okay.
It's like $350. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, it's if you get on sale, it's about $350.
Like it seems like a pretty fun thing to have in like a dorm,
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we can watch a ton of media stuff on this, and then we can also play like a bunch of sort of low wattage, like fun like platformers, like a Castle Crasher kind of game. If you had enough controllers, like.
Well, I mean, you could still play AAA titles on it if you're willing to crank down the graphics settings, because I mean, it does have a discrete GPU. It's not integrated graphics.
Yeah.
But
it's very discreet.
Yeah.
It has a separate graphics, processor. Sorry. Thank you.
Values discretion.
Sometimes I get a little too much into the jargon. I appreciate the reminder.
Yeah, I used to follow this kind of stuff, and then I built a PC for my dad, I guess, a little over a year ago, and I was like, wow, I have not kept up with this at all.
I'm done. I'm not interested. Yeah. But it's not, you don't really get the same benefits as you do if you were to build your own PC for the living room, and then once you start getting to that realm, you start getting to this price area where it's like, well, why wouldn't I just build a normal like gaming PC?
Sure.
So I don't know.
Are either of you excited about the controller? Because that's kind of the one thing that I guess sets this launch apart. Yeah.
I tried it at GDC. I'm not a fan.
Uh-oh.
But I will say that for people who are used to the very fine control you get with mouse and keyboard, if you're willing to learn it, and get used to it, it may work really well for you. I have a really strong console background,
right?
So that just is not anywhere near what I want out of a controller.
And so, like, you don't mind playing a PC game on an Xbox controller?
That's generally what I do.
Yeah.
When I play on...
Yeah, some games are like on a controller, like Batman or a racing game, but any shooter, I would want mouse and keyboard.
Not me.
So would you actually end up doing like that lap board thing instead if you had like
lap board? What is that?
Have you not seen these?
Is this what the kids are doing?
So I mean, there's
the kids aren't doing it, but
okay.
But I mean, I don't know if they've been released yet. But we saw them at GDC this year, where you have basically a board that you put in your lap so that you can have a keyboard and mouse there.
Oh, okay.
So you can like still have that kind of...
Are you talking about the Razer one specifically?
Well, that's one of them.
Yeah, and they had a nice...
I feel like someone else has...
A magnetic mouse that like sticks to the pad. So like you can still move it easily, but it just doesn't easily like go tumbling off.
Right.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the official versions, right? But I'm sure there are people in general who just put something flat in their lap.
Oh,
put a keyboard and a mouse on that, you know?
Yeah.
The mouse is more trouble than the keyboard.
Yeah, because it's everywhere.
That works if you don't have a cat.
Yeah.
If you do have a cat.
Back to cats this week. Cats are jerks.
Yeah.
That's going to be the title of that segment. Cats are jerks.
Can you imagine trying to play an FPS game with a keyboard on your lap and a cat around?
Cat's just like, bat.
Cat just steps on your lap. It's like, ooh.
Well, I don't have a cat, so I don't have to worry about that.
Oh, why don't you have a cat? What's wrong with you?
I know, right? Because I don't want a box of sand and poop in the house.
Like you don't have one already.
I know, right? I like cats. I don't like litter boxes.
We're going to talk about that. I still prefer litter boxes to picking up warm poop from a dog.
That's a good point. That's a good point. See, we always had a yard, so I was like, let the dog do that, and then the lawnmower takes care of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The lawnmower?
Yep, it just gets mowed up.
Ew.
It just gets mulched.
Does it just get
back to the earth?
Does it get fired like in every which direction?
Probably. It's good for the earth.
Do you wear disposable shoes when you mow the lawn?
Oh my. Wow. All right. I don't know if I should be walking all over your lawn if I ever visit you at all.
It's all right. I don't think you'll end up back in Illinois anytime soon. I don't have a lawn at my apartment.
All right. Okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah, you can tell I'm not over this yet, guys.
Elena's still reeling.
She's drawn a very vivid picture.
Clean that up in the yard on a public space, of course. Sure, I'm a member of society, but in my own yard.
Right. You put it in a bag and then you leave it on the sidewalk for the poop fairy.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are just trying to kill me now. Oh man. All right. Quick hits before we close up the show for this week. So you guys, I assume, heard about the U.S. Air Force performing a strike on an ISIS headquarters building after somebody took a selfie and posted it to social media.
Yeah.
What, with just like hashtag ISIS?
I don't know.
Like,
no, I
terrorist.
mean, they kind of basically indicated along with the photo, you know, what the building was.
They tagged the location terrorist training center or something.
I don't know. I just looked at it and thought to myself, wow, like this is the full spectrum of what happens when you take selfies. And without getting into the political aspects of it, just wow, selfies.
You gotta be careful.
Turn off location sharing, terrorists.
I don't know if he actually had that on. I think it was just more that they had advertised, you know, and then so they probably took that and like tried to, you know, compare that to locations around the world and figure out pinpoint where it actually was. And hopefully verify that it wasn't someone just saying like, hey, I'm at this headquarters for this place. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the U.S. military is more thorough than that, though.
I hope so.
Other hits?
You hope so.
Other hits. Scientists can now grow tiny brains in petri dishes from stem cells.
They're just tiny brains, though, right? We don't have to worry about them?
They're just little ones.
Okay.
Supposedly, the application for that is that you can use them to test to see how medication would affect your actual brain.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I read the story briefly. It was something about taking stem cells from your skin, using them to grow a tiny version of your brain.
Weird.
And then test treatments on it.
Exactly. So we'll see, like, okay, let's try this one. Oh, that's bad. Let's not do that one. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to go through, I guess, the whole side effect thing. And it's very personalized.
Right.
So
some people are allergic to penicillin. Some people can't stand Tylenol. I don't know. What kind of things are they doing to your brain that they need to test out? Leave my brain alone.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you could use it to even see how it would affect you for things like, you know, radiation or chemo, stuff like that.
Sure.
And then moving completely in the opposite direction, away from, you know, military action, science, and back to lots of computer jargon, which is AMD has confirmed that June 16th is when they're going to announce something about their upcoming GPU, or announce it in general.
That's during E3?
That is Tuesday of E3.
Okay. Are they going to be at E3, or is it a totally separate event?
I believe it's supposed to be at E3. I don't know what time or what capacity they're making the announcement. Okay. But it should be interesting if you're a PC gamer or someone who likes to build PCs.
Yeah, I guess I was going to say it's kind of cool just because E3 is not known for being very friendly to PC
Yeah, there's a
not a lot of exciting PC things
press
happening.
Conference this year.
Is there?
Yeah,
What?
PC gaming press conference.
The PC press conference?
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday night, so potentially we'll hear the announcement then.
Okay.
Not sure. It should be interesting if you've been following the scene. You know, like the 980 Ti was just launched on Sunday Pacific
new BMW
time.
Model?
Sorry?
Is that a new BMW model?
No.
980?
So the GTX 980, NVIDIA's latest Maxwell graphics cards, came out in September, and then they launched the Titan X based in the same family, same technology, in March. And so basically, the 980 Ti is closer to the Titan X in performance, so you can actually do 4K gaming from a single card, which you really couldn't do before. But it's much cheaper, relatively speaking, right? This is high-end enthusiast parts, so they're not cheap, but this is cheaper. So it's $650 for a 980 Ti for about pretty much the same performance as a Titan X, but that one costs $1,000. So
That's pretty good.
So if you're interested in that high-end kind of PC gaming, AMD's announcement hopefully will make the competition and the options even better for you. Just thought I'd throw that out there. In any case, need to wrap up. We'll be back next week for our last show before E3. And then
I won't be here.
Oh, you're not?
No.
You're going to be vacationing?
I am.
Nice. Like a relaxing one or like a very active one?
A little bit of both. It's a family thing, so.
You can Snapchat with all your little cousins.
Yeah, they're too young to Snapchat.
Well, you can be
surprised.
the family member that shows them how.
I don't think I want to be responsible for that.
Be the bad uncle. Hey kids, want to see this weird thing on the internet?
Oh gosh. In any case, we'll miss you. So in the meantime, people can reach you and the rest of us with questions and comments and random thoughts related to tech at techfetish@ign.com. That's email. We're also on Facebook and Google+. We've got 2 groups of awesome people. And, of course, you can reach us on Twitter individually. I am at MorphingBall.
I am at MR Salee. It's 2 L's and 2 E's.
At Alex Elroth.
Yep. So bug Mark Ryan while he's on vacation. Let him know that you miss him.
Follow me on Snapchat if that's a thing that happens.
Send him a Snapchat.
Send him a Snapchat. Freak him out. Teach him why he shouldn't be on the service.
Chat him a snap.
In any case, we will be back next week with all the tech news. Until then.
Bye.